The In-Between. Often, I describe myself as a master of a parallel universe. But what does that mean? Is it a quote? Is it insane ramblings? Or am I just having a laugh? The truth of the matter is that I am completely serious, and it is true. I, along with many others, do in fact meet this title. Anyone who is a writer qualifies. I can assure you that I have my complete faculties, or as complete as any writer can have. I also can assure you that this universe does exist, yet you cannot see it. I'll try to explain what I mean by way of a guided tour into the mind of a writer. If you will allow yourself to be swept away, only momentarily, I will bring you behind the scenes of story creation. I will take you past the window and allow you to look around. Let me first begin by explaining where we are going. Each of us is aware of the tangible world that surrounds us. The world which runs on laws of nature and is ruled over by people in lofty positions of power. We each have a role in this world and try to live that role to the best of our abilities, or work hard to change what that role is if we don't like it. There is much life and beauty in here. Yet, a writer only lives part-time in this world, and the rest of the time the writer is spending in another universe invisible to anyone without a key. This universe runs parallel to the corporal one in which we live and contains more worlds that can never be counted or ever even imagined. Each writer is a master key or a translator and may enter this universe on a whim. Our stories and books are the keys which we cut so that you, dear reader, may have a glimpse into the unseen. Just as each writer's view and what they see is unique, so too are the worlds that they rule and the stories they produce. This universe runs I cannot speak to what others feel and experience in this universe. I can only speak to the experience which is mine. So this will be a very personal tour of how I see this place of worlds, which I refer to as the In-Between. The In-Between is where we officially begin our tour, because one must travel deep into the In-Between to get to the place where the worlds are waiting. The worlds lovingly created and crafted by writers. The In-Between is a timeless void, more felt than seen. It is a home of ideas, emotions, strategy, and inspiration. Each time a writer enters, they must go alone. Though they can sense the presence of the other writers, they are bound by the laws of the In-Between to never interact with or see each other. The first thing we come across is the stream of consciousness. This is the collective consciousness of the world, and it flows by at a rate far too fast to sharpen out any one particular detail. It is here that we may choose to stay and linger. We may dip our toes into the stream while we cast our nets into its depths. If we are lucky, we'll feel a pull at our thoughts, an idea coming to us. Though there are many others casting about, our nets do not cross, except on rare occasions known as parallel thinking. This occurs when two writers come across the same idea around the same time, but fear not. Each will develop their own unique vision of that idea. This can happen on opposite sides of the world, given that all writers visit the In-Between. When the time has come that we have caught our fill of ideas, we may carefully tuck them away and continue off on our deeper visit into the In-Between. The path we must follow next varies in length slightly with each visit, but is always rather long. This is the path of silent reflection. As you can feel, its beauty is breathtaking and awe-inspiring. The journey we take is long to allow us the opportunity to reflect on what we took from the stream. Here we can take each idea and hold it up to the light. We can look at it from all sides to see what it is telling us. We can turn the idea over in our hands. We can smell it. We can taste it. We can try to grasp its depths like a sommelier tasting a fine wine. The ideas slowly get ready to be assigned to their fate once they have been identified as new or belonging to an already existing world. The last item of general classification is time. Is the idea to be worked with now, or will it need to be shelved for a later date? Our journey now takes us to the ethereal gardens of creation. The wonder and inspiration pulses around us, filling us with creative energy. It is here where we take one of the ideas and sketch out the rough outline or blueprint of how and where it will be used. I am sure, dear reader, that you can sense the sheer volume of ideas and blueprints all neatly tucked away all around us, some waiting to be used, others still waiting to be called upon as inspiration. The area is almost magical. Everything or almost everything we could ever need for our stories is all around us. All we need to do is merely think of the faintest flicker of an idea, and it will immediately be by our side, ready for service. All ideas are stored here, though we can only access our own. Yet that is not to say that, on rare occasion, a great idea of the past does not fall down to us for inspiration or guidance. Go ahead and try it. We picked up some great ideas from the stream earlier. Try to pull one up for inspiration. Take a moment to play with it. See what it has to say to you. You can now see what it feels like to hold an idea and nurture it in this place of vision. We will use a random idea from the stream for the next part of our journey. We will consider the fate of a woman in the woods. I don't know if you noticed her, but she looks like she has an interesting story to tell. We begin by asking her questions. Who is she? Why was she alone in the woods? Or was she alone? Is she hurt? What emotions is she feeling? Where is she going? What is she doing? Does she have a name? If we approach her quietly enough, she may begin to answer some of these questions. But we must be prepared for disappointment. Ideas do not always like to unfold right away. All too often they need time and encouragement. If this is the case, we will let the idea free to roam until it is ready to come back to us, though we may check in on it from time to time. If the idea is willing to open up to us, we can find out who she is and where she belongs. We need to figure out if she is meant to be used in a story right away, or if she is a character to be used at a later time. We also need to see what type of character she is. Is she a main character, or is she a supporting character? Further to that, does she fit into a story in the works, one in the queue, or is she a part of something entirely brand new? After having some tea, and time for reflection, she thanks us for pulling her out of the stream and informs us that she is a new character, and is integral to a new story yet to come. Unfortunately, she still needs more time, but she's promised to tell us her story another day. As we take our leave, we slide deeper into the in-between, coming to the diaphanous realm of plots. This is where we ensure the story flows and have all the pieces of the world in which we are working aligned just right, all while trying to avoid the deadly plot holes. In the beginning, my plots are often airy and intangible. As the story begins to be placed on paper and brought to reality, the plot becomes firmer and easier to see, leading me deeper into my story. Once the plot is tangible, we become able to see that the secret code needed to enter the world in which the story takes place, and we're able to begin the real work. This is difficult to explain because we are not building a world at the moment, so I will cut a small hole into the barrier to allow you to see some of the worlds from afar. Now, if you place your eye up to this hole, hurry now, it won't last long, you can catch a glimpse of the vast sea of worlds already created. Each world holds the lives and the stories of our favorite characters. As more stories are added, the worlds grow larger and larger. Some even grow to contain galaxies. As you are able to see, we cannot view what's happening in any of the worlds. They are each encoded and may only be accessed in one of two ways: by being the creator of the world, or by having a translated key in the form of a story or a book. I would take you into one of my worlds, but I cannot give you unfettered access to everything in one of my stories. I may inadvertently spoil a surprise or introduce a character too soon. Sadly, this is all I am able... It's funny how sometimes how life has things work out for you. I was about to wrap up this part of our tour, but our friend from before has reappeared. It would seem that she has been listening, and she does not want you to leave without the full experience. In case you missed it, she has informed us that her name is Solace, and that she will show her world to us. But be warned, it is yet incomplete and highly unstable. Solace has asked if you are all right. She feared you may be growing tired. I assured her all is fine, and I assure you, this tour is almost complete. Now as we will be entering into another world, it is important to leave your preconceptions and your shoes here in the in-between. Don't worry, all will be just as it was when we return, with perhaps the exception of your preconceptions. I see you eyeing the mist swirling below us. It's safe. It only acts to protect the entrances to the world. To enter Solace's world, all we must do is picture her in our heart and step into the mist. It may feel cool on your skin. The goosebumps are normal. Do try to enjoy them. There is nothing else you need to know, so please, follow me. Take a moment to gather yourself. You are now living in two worlds, your corporeal world of bills and dinner times, and the world of Solace. Please keep an open mind, we'll not be here for long. When you are ready, open your eyes and your mind to see where we are. Solace has brought us to a forest. It must be a central location in her story. Let's have a look around. It is an old-growth forest. We can tell by the height of the trees stretching high above us, filtering the brilliant sunlight. The scent of the wildflowers mixes with the scent of the trees on the gentle breeze rippling around us. Birdsong flits through the air, each note tugging on a little piece of our souls, making us feel lighter. The air is warm, as is the filtered sunlight dancing along the leaves of the low-lying plants and shrubs, struggling for each drop of sun not blocked further up. A bird suddenly takes flight and bobs past us through the air, swift as an arrow, its vibrantly colored tail trailing behind it. We follow it through the trees to a small clearing littered with mushrooms of all kinds. The bird calls a sharp warning to us as I reach for one of the mushrooms. It must be dangerous. Our mysterious guide is right. We do not know which are safe for us to eat, so it's best for us to leave them all alone. The clearing is darker than where we last stood. The air is a touch cooler, yet with a faint musty smell. The odor is of mushrooms and is not entirely off-putting. Yet, as you know, it's hard to place or describe the smell. Some of the mushrooms growing in front of us have neon hairs growing out from under their caps. Others seem to be impossibly made of jelly, while the finest of them look to be the most delicate bells made of cut lace, striking stunning silhouettes. We move deeper into the woods and see a shadowy area near the base of a huge tree. Something about this place makes me feel uneasy and is making my stomach do flips. I don't completely feel safe here. Off to our side, we notice a notebook lying in the grass. It is exceedingly small, with odd, dainty writing inside. I cannot read what it says, but I can read the name embossed on the spine, Solace. The name is in golden letters, which now draws my fingers in for a gentle caress. My fingers gently run along the golden name, almost in a daze, until a loud bang echoes off in the distance, making us both jump. I realize that she must have dropped the journal in haste and turned to tell you as much when the sky suddenly turns very dark. A loud shriek pierces the air and we look up to see Solace being dragged into the base of the tree by a giant nightmarish creature. Before we can react to try to save her, there's an ear-splitting crack, and we find ourselves back in the in-between. I apologize for the abrupt end to our visit in Solace's world. That sometimes is what happens when a world is still in planning and under construction. But it gave us a beautiful example to use. We know that the world has old-growth forests with a large amount of fungi which looked alien. Did you notice what the trees looked like? Were they normal, or were they strange as well? I'm sorry I didn't notice, but from the evidence before us, I'm guessing the story takes place on an alien planet. I'm also using the horrifying monster for reference. There's no way that thing came from Earth. We know that the world can be beautiful, but it can also be very dangerous. It appears as though Solace was cataloging the different fungi species when she was attacked by that creature and dragged screaming into its lair. All of this happening to the uplifting soundtrack of birdsong, which in itself is very unnerving and odd. Why did the birds continue to sing during the attack? Shouldn't they have fallen silent at the disruption? We have no choice but to wait until Solace decides to tell me the rest of her story. There's only 3 areas that remain to be explored. only two of which we will visit, but I will tell you of the third shortly. Where we now stand is called the Hall of Shadows. This is the land of purgatory where incomplete, mistimed, and developing characters exist. They are the silver shimmering we can see in the air above us. They float here suspended until their time comes. Then they are called upon and spring forth into reality, ready to be placed into a story. Some rest here a short time, while others can spend years, yet all have a time and a purpose. It is just off this area where we find the interview room. This is where the writer will sit with each of the characters and in turn and question them on their story, so that the writer gets the correct translation and can accurately write their tale and describe the world. That section glowing fire red in the distance, that is called the revision pit, aptly named the Well of Tears. It is here where the stories are torn apart and stretched bare for accuracy and confirmation. Oftentimes, screams of despair can be heard echoing from deep within its depths, one of the only times writers can actually sense another writer. Some stories never return, while in extreme cases, entire worlds can be ripped apart and destroyed. All writers dread that place, and we only visit it when we absolutely must. The remaining place in this parallel universe is that dark, shadowy section over there. I can see the chill emanating from it reaches you as well. This is where the monsters dwell, a place which defies even the twisted laws of this realm. Each horror monster ever created lives in this area, banished from the light. It is a place so dark, we have not even given it a name. When you read a horror novel or a story, you briefly visit the world of that particular monster. You can close the book and escape if it becomes too intense, with some occasional residual effects in the form of nightmares. Yet as a writer, we must live and visit in the same universe as the monsters, and do our best to avoid them as we write our stories. A danger we willingly face to do the craft that we love. So there you have it, dear reader. Through toil and peril, you now see how writers live in and control a parallel universe. All so that we may create keys in the form of books, so that you too may visit these wonderful worlds and visit the stories held within. The next time you see a writer staring off into space, you can be assured that they are probably in the in-between and are hard at work. I hope you have enjoyed your tour, and please do come back to visit from time to time. You can now use this story as a golden ticket to take a brief vacation in the in-between whenever you like, but beware of the monsters lurking in the shadows.